So first thing I want to talk about is your axe size. The axe size that you pick is going to have a big factor in what you can and can't do with it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of these really short axes. Can you give me your Mikey? The main thing about these is if you want to hit with an axe, and I've got this short thing, as soon as I'm swinging, we're already in grapple range. Half a step, one step, he can already get in there and get in a grapple. So if you want to use one of these, you can make it effective, but you're fighting an uphill battle, and you're mostly going to be dedicated to grappling with one of these. Not a bad thing for it too, but I prefer something a little bit longer. My personal preference for anyone is the shortest axe you should go with is one that's about armpit length. With an armpit length axe, I can still get plenty of oomph if I want to swing, and now we've increased this distance a little bit, so now he has to take at least a full, maybe 1.5 steps before he gets to me. Two things that are really important about that is one, I've got standoff, so I can make a decision if I want to stay in this fight or if I want to commit to a grapple. And two, the more distance he has to cover between us, the more momentum he's going to have. Not as big of a deal for you bigger guys, but the smaller you are, I want him to have a whole lot of momentum before he gets me, because if we're talking like throws or judo throws, you're typically lifting and pulling on these guys. Really fucking hard to do when they've got armor on, you've got gauntlets in your hands, all that bullshit. So if they're already moving at you, especially if they're trying to come over your head, which is often the case when you're short, he's going to give you all of that you would normally have in judo. I don't have to lift and pull because he's already moving into me, which is the same as me pulling him, and he's already up high because he's coming over my head. Got everything I need right there. Commit to your throw, you got it. And that brings us to my personal favorite, the really long axes. This gives you even more of a standoff. So when I'm swinging, he now has to cover a very large distance before he gets to me. I get a lot of momentum, a lot of stuff to throw in there. I also get more of a say in whether or not we're going to grapple or if I'm going to bail and go somewhere else. Again, that distance is what gives you that option. Also, the longer the axe, the bigger the fulcrum, the more damage you can do. If you're swinging an axe, you should be swinging full force as hard as you fucking can every time. If you're not swinging full power,
practice.
Of course, or scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
You want every shot to be a kill shot, and I don't want to be hitting him in the head over and over and over again. I'm going to look for damaging areas. So I'll bring us into our next little thing here. Enough about that. We'll talk about targeting. I meant to do that. So if I'm trying to hit Mikey, go ahead and face the other way, right? Generally, we're going to be approaching these guys from the side or the back. We don't want to hit them head on because it's really easy for them to defend. I've got a 3-strike rule that I carry every time that I go and swing on somebody. If I hit Mikey and he just does nothing, no matter where I'm hitting him, I'm going to look for another target. Maybe this guy's too tough, maybe he's got too good of a poker face, I don't know. But I'm not seeing any good effect out of my strikes. Either I'm swinging bad or he's tough. So I'm going to scan the field, see if there's another person who's got their ass hanging in the wind that I can go and light up and hit them harder. So when you commit to striking a guy, you're not married. You can move on. You can go somewhere else. Don't just sit there and hit this guy until your arms get tired. Second thing on that is when I'm swinging, I'm going to hit him, and on my backswing, I'm going to look around the field before I go in for another strike. If you're fighting in a field, especially one small like this, any one of you guys can cross this field in probably 2 seconds or less. That's way more than I can really think about whenever I'm in the middle of a swing. And I can't just go 1, 2, 3, and be like, all right, now what's up? Because I'm going to get hit, I'm going to get checked. And if you're a guy with an axe, you're a threat. People are going to be focusing on you. The threes especially will hunt you down and not let you hit their homies. If I see a dude run around with a sword and shield, he's more of a grappling danger. He's not really likely to drop any one of my guys with one good shot. An axe can take my dude out for the day. He can break his armor. He can hit a bone or something. You don't want that shit to happen. Cover the axe man always. Now, when I'm targeting
Sean, don't cover Sean. It's fine if you let Sean.
Yeah, you can let me.
Ignore Sean.
Yeah.
Don't cover Sean.
He's a slow guy.
Big things we're looking for. The head is like the least effective area we want to strike. Yeah, sometimes it's fun, it's cool, you get some sparks and you get a big head movement.
Unless it's a very noob team, then it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to pad their stuff.
No, yeah. And there's no accounting for stupidity, right? Generally, Mikey's in a fighting stance or something like that. I'm going to be looking for this shoulder gap. There's always a shoulder gap here where I'm going to strike the arm. Limbs are very, very effective. They're probably the least padded and the thinnest armor. People are going to bulk up on the helmet. They might have a bunch of motorcycle pads underneath their torso armor, but they generally don't wear anything, maybe an elbow pad, but the upper arm and the lower arm are going to be really, really open and susceptible to big axe strikes. Second one I'm looking for is the hip and the top of the thigh. Generally, people don't have articulated upper thighs, and that leaves this big gap right up here, especially if they're bent over in any kind of way. Target that area is nice. Moving up a little bit, you can hit the ribs. Works often. You usually get a lot of movement out of rib shots. Not always going to drop a guy, but if I come in and blast Mikey in the ribs, he tends to buckle over a little bit, or he'll turn. And if I've got a guy grappling him, I've just opened him up for a hump and bump or something better. Getting to the more juicy bits, the ass. The ass is always open whenever somebody's got their back to you. If the ass isn't open, the back of the thigh is usually open. You gotta be very careful about swinging for thighs. You do not want to hit the back of the knee. So I don't go for the back of the thighs often because generally that ass is out in the wind and I want that. I want that cake. On the front, if Mikey's got his back turned, or go ahead and get your back on the rail. If I have to fight a guy like this, generally speaking, he's not going to sit there and let the axe guy play. He's just going to come after me. So more times than not, you're going to run into a guy who's grappling somebody like this. And at that point, I'm going to be looking to strike in a way that's going to make him move so that my homie can throw him.
Let me get somebody here.
There you go. So Zach's grappling this guy, and I want him to lower or move in some kind of way that's going to make it more effective for Zach. So go ahead and get your arm off him, Zach. Maybe you can't get head control really well right now. You're kind of being defensive. So if I start swinging low, Mikey's generally going to drop his arm, and his head and stuff are going to come down just enough where Zach can maybe reach a little bit deeper. We're going to be swinging in ways that makes this guy crunch and bend. If I'm just swinging up high, he's going to stay high and strong, and there's not a whole lot happening here for Zach. I come in nice and low, he's surrendered his head, or his arm comes out in front and Zach can control the hand. Alternatively, maybe Zach's got him covered up and I can't really get a good shot on him for whatever reason. We'll just say that Zach or somebody else is in the way. If you've got a long enough axe, you can use these as a third leg. You can come up, plant, and kick that leg out. You can come in and kick from the front. Depending on how he's standing is going to dictate whether I want to kick his heel forward or kick his shin backwards. Sometimes little front kicks to the chest will help a little bit here and there, but I tend to focus on the legs more than anything when I'm throwing kicks. So I think it's enough chitter chatter, kind of move into striking form. So I'll talk a little bit about this, and then we'll get some of these pads set up, and then we'll do some swing and get warmed up that way. So when I swing with an axe, I don't think of it as any right way to swing with an axe. Everyone's got what works for them, and this is how I do it. So don't go running around like, oh, here's the way you do it. This is just how Sean does it, all right? So we're gonna start with our feet. If your feet are fucked up, nothing else above it matters, right? So I don't want to come and point my lead toe straight at my target. Reason for that is wherever my toe is pointed is a limited advance for my hip. I turn and that's about as far as I can get. Maybe I can force it a little bit more with my hands, but if I take my toe and point it 20, 30 degrees off target, now when I swing through, I can come all the way over that foot, and that's the limit of my strike. With your back foot, pivot. You want to throw a lot of pivot, turn those hips. I never played baseball, but I've been told that you do that when you play baseball. So if you play baseball, it's like a baseball swing. Get as much weight as you possibly can in it. Bigger guys, I know you can muscle it, throw it with your hands and arms and stuff, but you're leaving a lot on the table if you don't use your hips. Use your body. Being small, you've got to use all the mass you've got. You don't have a lot of it. Throw everything you got into that shot. With an axe about armpit length or shorter, everything is what I call in true time. There's no changing of the timing of your hands and your feet. Everything runs through with one solid swing, smooth motion. If you use a longer axe like me, you're gonna have to start generating that movement with the axe first before your feet. I'm gonna turn it backwards so I don't hit the bag. But I'm not gonna just throw everything together because you can see my feet have already gone and now I'm not to my target yet. So I generally start the axe swing about right here where you're about level is when I start to get the feet involved and then follow all the way through. Any questions on that? On anything that I've come on so far?
Do you do any kind of like scooping up, or is it always kind of a down strike, or is it where you're popping it up from the hip?
So the thing about that is if I change my hip level in the middle of the strike, we're robbing momentum from the axe. You can do that if you want to swing on a specific angle, like you need to, if I need to hit up underneath something, I might do something like that. But generally speaking, I'm just going to keep everything as flat and level as I can. You don't want to do one of these numbers where you stand up into it, because again, I'm robbing some of that forward momentum and exchanging it for height. So yes and no, just kind of whatever they need you, or whatever you need to do to get the job done. One last little tangent, get used to swinging both sides with your hands, because whenever I'm on this side, or if I'm on that side of the rail, it's really difficult because the rail's in the way, my guy might be in the way, so I'm gonna have to switch hands so I can get an open target to swing in through that. So practice this on both sides.
Also, as a guy who gets swung on, excuse me, hit a lot, if I rail roll, now you have to change your entire angle. So you're gonna have to switch hands and whatnot to get continuous shots off.
Yeah. I mean, you can come around and swing like this, but it's slow, very easy to read, and you lose a lot of energy on it. Something you can do, I just change hands and swing better, right? Cool. That's all I got for now. Let's go ahead and grab these bags and practice on it. That bag.